name is Dennis Jensen, and this is a new tutorial on how to make the arm, rig the arm, sorry. And in this tutorial I'm gonna show you how to make an IK-FK arm, and it's gonna be fun. I just got home from my holidays and it was cool to relax a bit, but now I'm ready to make some cool tutorials. I hope you guys enjoyed your holiday and hopefully learned something. In my holiday I really wanted to learn how to paint in Photoshop, so I've been watching a lot of tutorials and movies and all that I could get my hands on, because I really feel like that's the way to learn. Unfortunately there wasn't any, I didn't find any very good free tutorials on the internet, and that's also a reason why I'm trying to make these as good as I can and let people learn for free. And yeah, it's really a shame that you have to pay like a lot of money just to learn about how to color in Photoshop. But enough about that. I also got some DVDs from Miyazaki and they're totally awesome. Can't wait to see the next one. Anyway, this is not about me, it's about the arm. So the first thing we're gonna do is, in order to make an IK-FK arm, you will have to make two arms. You will make an IK arm and you will make a FK arm. IK stands for inverse kinematic, and FK stands for forward kinematic. IK means that you basically move the end of the joint chain to position your arm, and FK means that you go forward kinematic, so it means you first set the shoulder, then the elbow, and then the arm in the end. So it's pretty simple. We're gonna start out with making the two arms, then we're gonna make the controllers for them, then we're gonna make the constraints to both arms, the IK and FK, and in the end we're gonna make a switch attribute so you can switch between IK and FK. So it's pretty basic, and I think it's gonna be awesome. So, and by the way, I got a lot of comments again, and I don't know why, but they're so awesome, the comments. I really love it when I get a comment, or even when somebody subscribe at my YouTube channel. I get all warm and fuzzy inside. No, it's really cool, and it's really nice to know that somebody appreciates it. Anyway, enough with the chit chat. This is the character, and this is how far we got. If you didn't get this far, I recommend that you see the tutorials before that on polyface.com, and I'm gonna make a link in the YouTube. The last thing we did was the spine, and we're gonna move on to the arms now. And this is the arm. We made one skeleton, and we're gonna keep this skeleton arm, but we can duplicate it. If you go to the outliner and press F, you will focus down what you have selected, and you can see we got the arm selected right now. So this is going to be a base arm that the mesh is skinned to. We're going to duplicate this by pressing Ctrl D. Now we got another arm, and this arm we are going to call left FK arm base. So I'm just going to add a FK. I'm going to duplicate this base arm again, and this time I'm going to call it IK. So this is pretty simple, right? The next step is that we don't want all the joints. We only want the joints for the arm. So I'm just going to open these, and I'm going to find arm end. So you can see we made a little wrist joint here. Actually we want this joint as well, so we're gonna delete from the hand and down, and I'm just gonna press delete now, and I did that for the IK. Now I'm gonna do the same thing for the FK. So from the hand we can delete it. So now we got some separate joint chains. They will all be parented to the shoulder. So if you move the shoulder, you can see everything will move, but you can also move the base, and you can see there's some other joint chains, and this is good. This is what we want. So I can see there is a transformation here, and this is a bit weird. I think we should freeze the transformations on our joints. So let's start by doing that. I'm gonna select both of them, and I'm gonna go to freeze transformation and hit apply. So this should be good enough. Let's see if it didn't remove it. Maybe I could delete it. Nah, that's the bad idea. Let's try to select the arm end and apply. Okay, maybe it's the history. Anyway, it doesn't matter that much right now. It's just nice to keep your scene clean and tight. So if you go to modify, edit, delete by type, history. Anyway, let's keep the transformation node. So the next thing you want to do is you want to have an eye cape in all these in the naming convention, just because it's gonna make it easier. And I just wrote it in the first one and pressed Ctrl C, Ctrl V to duplicate it. And that's the first one. Then I'm gonna do the next one. So in this setup we're gonna make some not some scripting, but some node-based programming, you can call it. We're gonna go into the hypershade and make a color blend node to blend between two colors. Only we're not gonna use the colors, we're gonna use the rotation of the joints, and this is gonna make it very easy for us to work with. So anyway, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make the controllers. We got the base joint chain and we got the FK IK. And the first thing we need is going to be a shoulder controller. So I would like to make it a curve. You should make it a curve, but I would like to use a circle. And I'm just gonna press it up. I'm gonna right click, edit point, just to make it a bit more customized and fancy looking. Oops. The reason my Maya is doing something really crazy, you can see when I try to scale it, it's scaling in 1, but if I hold down J, it scales normally. I don't know why, it's really annoying. So if anybody out there knows how to fix this, please let me know. Yeah, but I guess it's okay, it's just a bit annoying. So actually I always have to see, you can see now it snaps. Normally it will snap if you hold down J, but it's reversed on my computer, I don't know why. So yeah, I'm just gonna shape this. I think that is cool enough. So maybe a bit yeah, like this. So the next thing you want is your pivot. If you hold down V, you can snap it, and we're gonna snap it to the joint in here. So it's a bit hard to see right now. Because of that, I'm gonna isolate selected. I'm gonna hold down right mouse button, edit point. I'm gonna select everything, go out of selected, because if you're not in isolate mode, you will select the joint or the mesh because it's the priority that Maya sets. You could also this is the priority order, so you could deselect everything up here and we would select the curve first, but I just find it easier to isolate selected. And this is our first controller for the arm. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the forward kinematic, and you want some different controllers for the IK and FK. Normally I use a circle for the FK because the FK is going to be the arm that you can rotate, so it makes sense that it's a circle. I'm gonna hold V to snap it to the joint, and middle mouse button, by the way, V and middle mouse button, and then I'm gonna rotate it a bit. For now it's only gonna be eye measuring. I'm gonna scale it a bit, something like that. With this selected, I'm gonna select the base joint. You can see it in the outliner. You can also select it here by holding. Let me do that again. I'm selecting the curve, and then by holding shift, by holding control, I'm selecting the base joint, and then I'm gonna press P. This makes this a child of the joint. It's gonna be parent, and then I'm just gonna press 0 in all the rotation, because this makes the rotation orientation, the rotation orientation the same way as the joint. You can see it aligns with the joint, and this is what we want. And then I'm gonna press Shift P, which makes it unparalleled. So you can see now you got some translate and rotation, and the problem is now if you go to freeze transformation, you got it all zeroed out, and this is what you want, but the orientation of the controller changed again. So in order to have this rotation order and still have it zeroed out, you will have to make a orient controller. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna name this control. L upper arm control. This is the naming convention I'm using, and this is gonna be L shoulder control. And then I'm gonna select this one, the lower arm controller, and I'm gonna press Control D to duplicate it, and then I'm gonna add the Ori after the name of the controller, and then I'm gonna press the little plus sign to get the shape. If you don't have this plus sign, you will have to go up to display and have and press here so you can see shapes. I'm not sure what this is called. And then you select the shape and you delete it. So now you have an empty node with no shape, and you're gonna select the controller and you're gonna middle mouse drag it down to the orientation. So you can see now it's gonna be zeroed out, and this is exactly what we want. So everything is great. On this one, on the shoulder controller, we're just gonna freeze the transformations. Yes, that was the first one. Let's move on to the next controller. Actually, you can just duplicate the whole Orient controller. The good thing about this, when the animator is going to animate, they're usually just gonna select it like this, and then they will select the original controller. They won't go to the outliner and press this one with all the attributes on it. But I think it's a good idea just to freeze the transformation, but not on the rotation. So I'm gonna go to the option box and freeze transformations, and I'm gonna hit apply. So we will still have the rotation out here, but nothing else, just to make it a bit more clean. And then for now I'm gonna duplicate the control orient group, and I'm gonna hold V to snap it to the next joint, and I'm always checking that it's the exact same place. I'm gonna select the lower arm, and you can see out here it's the lower arm that's selected, and I'm gonna press P, and then I'm gonna select the orientation, and I'm gonna zero the orientation group. You can select it by selecting the controller and pressing the up arrow, and I'm just gonna zero out the rotation again to make it align, and then I'm gonna press Shift P to unparent it, and I'm gonna rename it to lower and also down here lower. So now we got the two controllers, and I actually want to scale this a bit because I think it's a bit too big. Like that. I'm gonna duplicate it again, and this is gonna be for the hand. Alrighty. Basically you want we had a teacher who said you should make the rotation of the hand in a addition controller, but I think it should be on this one and also on the IK, because it's just easier to grab this and move it and then rotate it. Actually you won't be moving this one, but with the IK you can move it and rotate it. If you have to move the IK handle and then on the hand controller rotated it will be quite a job to pose it, and you want to make these controllers so the most easy. Yeah, you want to make them very easy to control and very easy to grab, because it's just going to be more nice for the animator and easy for the animator. So you can see I'm just doing the same thing for the last controller. Yes, and that's about it. So the next thing I'm gonna do is, if you go to Outliner, I almost always have my outline open. You want the shoulder controller. We want. Let me see how I can explain this. If I move this controller, I want the other controllers to follow, and the same with this one. I want the hand to follow, and if I move the shoulder, every controller on the arm should follow. So this is pretty easy. You just select the orientation of it and middle mouse drag it up to the shoulder, and then you take the lower arm controller orient group and middle mouse drag it to the upper, and you do the same thing for the hand. So now if you select this, oops, I made a mistake. You can see this one should be on the controller of it, and the same goes for the hand. It shouldn't be the orient group, it should be the controller. So now when you select this, you can see everything follows, and the same with this, the hand follows, and if you select the shoulder, everything follows, and you can still see there is no translation or rotation out here. So this is great. This is what we want. So I could make the IK controller also, but before we get into that, I would like to just orient the joints that we need to these controllers, simply because it's gonna make it easy and more understanding when we're gonna get it's gonna be more complicated, so it's easier that you can just rotate the arm up and you won't have to look at all the joints and all the controllers at the same points. So let's do that. So we're gonna select we want an orient constraint. So if you go to the constraint and have your mouse over orient, you can see that you have to select one or more targets followed by the object to constrain. This means that you first select the target and then you select the joint you want to be controlled, and then you're gonna make an orient. I'm gonna go to the option box and make sure everything is as it should be, and I'm gonna press apply, and now the joint should follow, and it does. So that's pretty easy, right? You just have to do it with the same for the other controllers. But I I can see that I made a mistake. You shouldn't do it with the base joint. You should actually do it with the IK joint. Oh, sorry, FK joint, of course. So I'm gonna select that, and then I'm gonna make the orient. And let's see if that is right. Yes. So that's just fine. And then you're gonna do the same thing for the lower arm. It's the FK, so you're gonna select the controller and the lower arm joint. You're gonna make a constraint, and then the same thing for the hand. The reason why I'm selecting these in the view is because it's just easier than if you have to go to the group and open everything and stuff like that. So it's just easier this way. So we want the arm end and constrain orient. So let's see if it works. It seems like it does. Yes. Cool. So now I'm actually gonna leave this arm up because it's easier to work with. If you want it down again, you can just zero it out in the rotation. But for now, we're gonna leave it as this. And we actually, this is the FK arm. So we already made the FK arm. I think this is pretty cool. And we only spent I don't know, 20 minutes or half an hour or something like that. But you can see if I rotate the shoulder, it looks kind of weird. This is because we didn't orient the shoulder yet. So in order to do that, we're just gonna do the same thing as before, but we only got one shoulder joint, and this controller is gonna control the shoulder joint every time. So you select the controller, and then you select the joint. You go to constraint, orient, and then it should be fine. Yes. Yeah. And the next thing is gonna be the IK. To make the IK, I like to make it a box because you can move it around, and you can also rotate it. So it makes more sense that it should be different from the FK. So at least for me, it makes more sense to make a box. And the way you can make a box with the curves is to create a box with the polygons. Yes, I'm just gonna make it the same value all over, so I'm sure that it's pretty even. And with this box, you're gonna go to create CV curve tool option box, and I remember this was what I messed up last time, so let's see if I can get it right this time. One lineary, I think it was. Let's just check. Yes, it is. You want it to be hard edges, so that's why you select one lineary. And you're just gonna hold V now while this selected, and you're gonna press this point and this point and this point, and yeah, and so on. So you can see like I'm shaping a box with the curves, and it doesn't matter that you go over some point twice. So I think this is gonna be it. And then I'm gonna press enter when I'm done. And damn it, I missed one. So let me try again. Create CV curve, and I'm gonna try again. I think it's because when I'm speaking and doing stuff at the same time, it gets a bit more complicated. But this is fairly easy. Like that. I'm hoping I did it now. Yes, I did it. So this is gonna be the controller for our hand, for our IK. I'm gonna go to modify center pivot just to make it a bit more easy, and I'm gonna hold V to snap it. And you can see I didn't quite hit the point, so I'm gonna try again. And there, I did it. So you still want the same orientation that the joint, so I'm just gonna parent it to the joint. I'm gonna zero it all out, only the rotation, sorry, not the translate. And then I'm gonna hit Shift P to get out of it, out of the parent. I'm gonna scale. I'm gonna scale it a bit to fit the hand a bit better. Oops. Yeah, this is better, I think. And then I'm gonna go to the outliner. I'm gonna close this window and I'm gonna find it. And what should we call this? I think we should call it L IK hand control. Yes. So this is our controller for the hand. But you can see we got some stuff out here. So let's start by freezing the transformation, but not the rotation. And I'm gonna duplicate it. It's the same as before. Call it Ori. Delete the shape. Middle mouse drag it down to the orientation, and then you can see it all is everything is zeroed out. And then we're gonna make a IK handle for the FK. Oh, sorry, IK. Got the IK here, and I'm just gonna open it up. What you want to do is select the first thing in the chain and then the last thing. Yeah. So let's start by doing that. And now I think we will have to change back the IK handle tool to RP solver. And then I'm gonna select the first joint in the chain and then the last one. This makes the IK handle, and if you move it, you can see it works. I'll just check that we have the twist, because we're gonna need a twist to control the elbow. And I always mess this up. So, whoa, what is this? IK FK control. This is kind of interesting. But you can see we got the twist here. So it should be able to, yeah. Okay, so that's all fine. If you go to the outline again and close this window, we're gonna select the controller we made with you can see it all zeroed out, and then you're gonna select the IK handle, and we're gonna make a parent. So now if you move it, it moves as it should. Nice, right? So this is basically the two hands. There's still one thing we need to do. We still need to make a pole vector, like we did for the leg, that controls which way the leg bends, and this is a good thing because it just makes it very easy to control. So I think we can actually just duplicate this one, and with holding down V we can snap it to the elbow. Snap it to the elbow, and I'm just gonna press isolate selected because I want this to be more straight. So I'm gonna select all the points, and I'm gonna go to the side view. I'm gonna show wireframe, and then I'm gonna rotate it so it aligns. And then by holding space, I'm gonna go to perspective again. Okay. And the next step is to parent this controller to the joint. So I'm just gonna press P. I'm gonna zero out the rotation, and you can see now it looks kind of funny. So I'm just gonna rotate it by testing. See if I press 90 here, it looks a bit better, and down here. So now it has the same rotation as the joint, and this is what we want. So I'm just gonna freeze the transformation, and I'm gonna unparent it by holding Control Shift to P, and then I'm gonna take it out, just because it's gonna be make it a bit more easy to see. And then I'm gonna duplicate it, and of course it should be renamed. So it should be L arm pole controller, and this should be the same but with a ORI in the end. I'm gonna delete the shape, middle mouse, drag it down, and then we got the controller. So I'm gonna select the controller now, and then I'm gonna select the IK handle, and in constraints I'm gonna make a pole vector. So now this should control the twist, and it does. Nice, right? Yeah. And the arm is not updating, but